And with this all-wheel drive version, you don't have to worry about whether you're going to be able to get where you're going, even if you're not in the greatest of shape. Now, most of the time when I watch e-bike reviews, I'm looking at a pristine, perfectly clean e-bike that's riding around on sidewalks in the city. That's not the world that we're in every day. We're in the woods, we're on trails, we're in the mud, and we're climbing great big hills. Well, hey there, and welcome back to Peaks Peak. My name's Lucas, and we're sharing our outdoor adventures on 38 acres in eastern Kentucky. And today it's all about the Eunorau all-wheel drive e-bike. You may be thinking that e-bikes are for environmentalists or hippies or folks that live in the city that need to commute. But e-bikes are actually fantastic for the outdoors and for around your farm. And that's what we figured out a couple of years ago. And so we've tested several e-bikes. We've found good and bad features on most of them. We had the opportunity to review this Eunorau Fat all-wheel drive 2.0 bike. I was excited because this is the first all-wheel drive off-road e-bike that we've been able to get our hands on, and it did not disappoint. Now, most of the time when I watch e-bike reviews, I'm looking at a pristine, perfectly clean e-bike that's riding around on sidewalks in the city and doing a lot of basic things, and you can learn a lot from reviews that are like that. But that's not how we operate. That's not the world that we're in every day. We're in the woods, we're on trails, we're in the mud, and we're climbing great big hills. I said I lived in eastern Kentucky, and when I say eastern Kentucky, I mean in the hills. The driveway that we use to get up to our farm is an over 20% grade, and we've yet to have an e-bike that would climb our driveway. In fact, you could barely pedal your way up it with pedal assist on any of the other e-bikes that we've tried. But this all-wheel drive bike is different. And that's because it has a 500 watt motor in the front and a 500 watt motor in the rear. And you can switch and use just the rear, you can use just the front, or you can use both together. And you can definitely tell when you have both motors engaged because it has a lot more power. Like all of the other e-bikes that we have tried, it's a 48 volt system, but this bike has a 48 volt, 15 amp hour battery inside the frame here. And then we were sent the 48 volt, 15 amp hour additional battery to tack on here so that you can double your range. Now, this bike also has lots of other top-notch features like a Shimano derailleur, and it's got disc brakes with the mineral oil as fluid. It has a thumb throttle control right here, and it works pretty well. I was disappointed to see that it was a thumb control, but I adapted pretty quickly to it, so it's not that bad. I think if I was choosing, I would choose the type of throttle twist control on the right-hand side that I have used in the past. But this thumb control works pretty well. It doesn't really interfere with your operation too much. Maybe that's because I grew up in the era of three-wheelers and four-wheelers with the thumb throttle control. Now, if you have ran very many of these fat tire bikes, you know that they actually go through tires pretty quickly if you ride them a lot. This bike comes with the Kenda Juggernaut tires, which Kenda, you know, is a brand that I already know and trust. I used to use them on my dirt bike, so you know, it's got good tires that should hold up pretty well. It also has adjustable forks, so you can set the dampening on your forks or lock them if you want it to be a hard suspension, which makes for a pretty nice ride on a bike like this. Now you might notice this here, this battery, the colors on the decals do not match our bike, and that's because this is an optional add-on, additional battery, and it comes with all the connections you need to plug it right into your bike, so that now we have 30 amp hours worth of battery power for this bike. They also sent us saddlebags, and it is nice to have some storage on your e-bike. And I've got my camera bag and all of my accessories in here for filming, and I can keep them stowed away here where they're protected from the mud. And I actually had all of that stuff inside the saddlebags as I test rode this bike through the mud holes and the whoops and everything else. Now, in my experience, one of the greatest reasons to have an e-bike is for commuting around a campground, or, you know, if you go to motocross races, they're outdoors, they're on farms, and you need to get from point A to point B pretty quickly, especially if you're chasing your kids around the track. I see lots of folks running around on e-bikes. When you go to campgrounds, you see lots of folks running around on e-bikes. And with this all-wheel drive version, you don't have to worry about whether you're going to be able to get where you're going. Even if you're not in the greatest of shape and you haven't done a lot of pedaling. I was able to ride this bike all the way up my 20% grade hill that's a quarter mile long without turning the pedals once. I just press the throttle and go, and it pulls you around just like a motorcycle, except it's quiet and peaceful. The screen and controls are very easy to use, and they have a great picture. They're bright enough that you can see them easily. And there's no real learning curve. They're as simple as they could be. They're easy to operate. Now, I'll just go ahead and tell you, I have friends that say, why do you fool with those e-bikes? You've got four-wheelers and side-by-sides and other ways to get around. But all of those things are noisy. They take gas. And sometimes you just kind of want some peace and quiet and enjoy the sounds of nature, like you hear the locusts behind me in the woods right now. And with an e-bike, you get a lot more peaceful experience when you're out. I'll be the first to admit, I'm not necessarily one that's all about the electric craze and all the electric tools and all of that. I want what works and what fits the job I'm trying to perform. And so when I'm outside trying to enjoy myself on my farm and enjoy the peace and quiet at the pond or get out on the trails, this is exactly what I want. So guys, if you're looking for a great e-bike option for your farm or commuting around the campgrounds and so forth, be sure and check out the Eunorau Fat All-Wheel Drive 2.0. It's a great bike. I'll put a link down in the description. We thank them for supporting our channel. And until next time, get outside and enjoy God's creation, because it's beautiful out here. Y'all have a good day.